So, it's your first day ghost hunting, huh? It's an exciting yet scary job. You never know what dangers you'll encounter out in the field. Well, that's why I'm here. I'm going to give you the knowledge you need to successfully hunt each ghost. There's a lot to learn, but it's the difference between life and death. Let's begin. Spirits are the most basic and common type of ghost. The term spirit itself covers a broad range of classifications, including deities, ancestors, nature guardians, or even abstract forces like good and evil. Across many cultures and belief systems, they are thought to be the essence or soul of a living being that continues to exist after death, or a supernatural presence tied to nature, places, or emotions. A spirit can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, speaking to a spirit box user, and writing in an empty book. During hunts, spirits have a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a spirit isn't showing any evidence, the only way to identify it is using a smudge stick. Spirits are unable to hunt for 3 minutes after being cleansed. A wraith is a type of ghost originating in Scottish folklore. It usually refers to a spectral, double, or shadowy version of a living person. This is seen as an omen of death, or a manifestation of a person's soul that appears before or shortly after their death. As time has passed, the definition of a wraith has changed. Now they're depicted as restless, malevolent spirits, bound to the mortal world by unfinished business, vengeance, or curses. Wraiths have been featured in many pop culture pieces, most notably as the ring wraiths in Lord of the Rings. A wraith can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, speaking to a spirit box user, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a DOTS projector. During hunts, wraiths have a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a wraith isn't showing any evidence, it can easily be identified using the salt test. Unlike all other ghosts, a wraith is unable to walk through salt, and will hover over instead, leaving the salt undisturbed. The wraith is also capable of teleporting on top of a person. This won't trigger a hunt, but the wraith can hunt after teleporting, making them extremely dangerous. A phantom is a ghost often representing the spirit of a dead person, or a supernatural image that appears and vanishes suddenly. The word comes from the Greek phantasma, meaning appearance or vision, which hints at its nature. In folklore and mythology, a phantom might appear to deliver a message, reenact a tragic event, or simply wander without awareness. These sightings often occur in places tied to strong emotions or violent deaths. In pop culture, a phantom is used as an eerie, ghost-like presence, like the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera, or a phantom pain one would feel. A phantom can be identified out in the field by speaking to a spirit box user, having its handprints revealed by an ultraviolet light, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a DOTS projector. During hunts, phantoms have a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a phantom isn't showing any evidence, an easy way of identifying them is during a hunt. When hunting, a phantom's blinking pattern will be slower, with the phantom being invisible for 2 seconds before it blinks back to being visible. Another way of spotting a phantom is by using a camera. Phantoms will not appear in digital media. Pictures will also make the phantom disappear. A poltergeist is a ghost known for causing disturbances in the physical world rather than simply appearing as an apparition. Poltergeists cause objects to fly through the air, doors to slam, furniture to start shaking, knocks, bangs, or voices to come from nowhere. These manifestations seem intelligent but malicious, often harassing a particular person or household for a period of time before disappearing as suddenly as they began. Culturally, poltergeists are among the most feared and popular supernatural entities due to films like Poltergeist. A poltergeist can be identified out in the field by speaking to a spirit box user, having its handprints revealed by ultraviolet light, and writing in an empty book. During hunts, poltergeists have a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a poltergeist isn't showing any evidence, an easy way of identifying it is by grouping multiple items together. The poltergeist is the only ghost that can throw multiple items at the same time. The poltergeist is also capable of throwing items harder and further than any other ghost. A banshee is a ghost from Irish and Scottish folklore, known as a female ghost who wails, who appears to foretell death. The word comes from the Irish Banshee, meaning woman of the fairy mound or fairy woman. Unlike typical ghosts, banshees aren't necessarily evil. Instead, they act as omens, appearing or crying out when someone is about to die, usually from a particular family or bloodline. Her keening, a mournful, chilling wail, is said to echo through the night, signaling the approach of tragedy. A banshee can be identified out in the field by having its handprints revealed by ultraviolet light, having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a DOTS projector. During hunts, Banshee have a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a Banshee isn't showing any evidence, an easy way of identifying it is seeing which person it targets. Banshees will only hunt one person at a time, and ignore everybody else. This is only useful if there are multiple people in the building with the Banshee. Another easy way of identifying a Banshee is using the parabolic microphone. Banshees have a unique scream they will let out that only a parabolic mic can hear. This scream has a 33% chance of happening. The Banshee will also do the singing ghost event more often than other ghost types. A Jinn is a supernatural being from pre-Islamic Arabian mythology and Islamic tradition. Unlike spirits of the dead, Jinn are a separate race of sentient beings created by God from smokeless fire, as described in the Quran. Jinn possess free will, just like humans, which means they can be good, evil, or neutral. Some live peacefully, while others are tricksters or malevolent entities that tempt, deceive, or haunt people. Culturally, the idea of Jinn ghosts arrives from misinterpretation. When a haunting seems intelligent or personal, some traditions see it not as a dead person's spirit, but as a Jinn impersonating one. In this view, Jinn can mimic the dead to deceive the living, blurring the line between ghost and demon. A Jinn can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, having its handprints revealed by ultraviolet light, and having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius. During hunts, Jinn have a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a Jinn isn't showing any evidence, the easiest way to identify it is by having the breaker on. With the breaker on, a Jinn will speed up when having line of sight of a person if the person is more than 3 meters away. A person can also leave an EMF reader at the breaker. Should the EMF get a reading but the breaker never turns off, then the ghost is a Jinn. Jinns are unable to turn the breaker off. Should the breaker be broken and the ghost is unable to leave any evidence, the Jinn will be incredibly difficult to identify. A Mare is a malevolent entity from ancient Germanic and Norse folklore believed to torment people during their sleep. The word Mare comes from Old English Mare and Old Norse Mara, meaning a pressing or crushing spirit. In legends, a Mare would sit or press on a sleeper's chest, suffocating them or filling their dreams with terror. Victims would awaken unable to move or breathe, a phenomenon we now associate with sleep paralysis. Descriptions of the Mare vary across regions. In some tales, she's a ghostly woman or witch who leaves her body at night to attack sleepers. In others, she's a dark, shadowy creature, or even an animal spirit, sometimes with tangled hair and glowing eyes. Scandinavian myths even claim she could ride horses in the night, leaving them exhausted and covered in sweat by the morning. A Mare can be identified out in the field by speaking to a spirit box user, having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision, and writing in an empty book. During hunts, a Mare has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a Mare isn't showing any evidence, an easy way to identify it is if it turns a light off the moment it's turned on. This can be easily done during a ghost event, as only the Mare is allowed to interact with the light switch during the ghost event. A Mare also prefers the light bursting event, though this should not be used as definitive evidence unless multiple light burst events happen during an investigation. The Mare is also unable to turn on lights, allowing you to cross it off if a ghost does turn the lights on. The Revenant is a restless, dead being that has returned physically or spiritually from the grave, usually driven by a powerful need, vengeance, obsession, or unfinished business. The word comes from the French revenant, meaning one who returns. Unlike typical ghosts, which are often intangible and ethereal, revenants are corporeal. They rise from the graves with bodies intact or partly decayed, walking among the living. In medieval European folklore, revenants were often seen as ominous, plague-bringing figures, haunting the towns they once lived in. Their presence was linked to guilt, betrayal, or improper burial rites. Over time, the concept of the Revenant evolved into ideas like vampires and zombies, but in its original form, the Revenant was not mindless. It was a conscious spirit trapped in its corpse, bound by obsession or rage. A Revenant can be identified out in the field by having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision, writing in an empty book, and having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius. During hunts, a Revenant has a base speed of 1 meter per second, until they detect a player through sight, sound, or electronic use. Upon detecting a person, the Revenant will immediately speed up to 3 meters per second until it no longer detects anybody. Upon no longer detecting a person, the Revenant's speed will gradually decrease back to 1 meter per second. If a Revenant isn't showing evidence, the easiest way to identify it is by hiding during a hunt and listening for the ghost's footsteps. As the Revenant has the slowest starting speed, its footsteps will sound slower than any other ghost. Should a person be confident in their ability to loop or evade from a ghost, they can test for Revenant's increased speed when detecting a player. Just be careful of confusing the ghost with a Jinn due to its ability to speed up if a player is spotted further than 3 meters. A shade is a ghostly remnant or shadow of a dead person's soul, often depicted as a faint, lifeless echo of who they once were. The term comes from ancient Greek and Roman mythology, from the Latin umbra and Greek skia, both meaning shadow. In classical belief, when someone died, their soul descended to the underworld and became a shade. Not a conscious ghost with emotion or purpose, but a dim reflection of their former self. These shades wandered the afterlife in a dreamlike state, whispering faintly, aware but detached, more memory than being. Over centuries, the meaning evolved. In later folklore and occult traditions, a shade came to represent a weakened or sorrowful spirit, too drained to interact strongly with the world. A shadow ghost, barely visible, seen only as a dark outline or fleeting silhouette. A soul trapped between realms, neither fully gone nor fully present. Unlike vengeful spirits or poltergeists, shades are quiet and passive. They don't harm or haunt, but rather linger, tied to the places or emotions that once defined them. A Revenant can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, writing in an empty book, and having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius. During hunts, a shade has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a shade isn't showing evidence, the easiest way to identify it is by staying in the ghost room. Shades will not start a hunt if people are in the same room as it. If someone is in the ghost room and a hunt does not attempt to start for a long period of time, it's likely a shade. Be warned though, that if the shade wanders from the room a person is in, it can start a hunt. All of this also extends to shades doing ghost events. A demon is a supernatural spirit associated with evil, chaos, and corruption. Unlike ghosts, demons are ancient entities that were never human at all. The idea of demons appears in nearly every culture and religion, though their roles and natures vary. In Christian and Islamic tradition, demons are fallen angels or rebellious jinn. In ancient Mesopotamian and Near Eastern lore, demons weren't always evil. Some were guardians or enforcers, others bringers of disease or misfortune. In Greek mythology, the word daemon originally meant a spirit or lesser god, not necessarily malevolent. Over time, the meaning darkened into the evil demon we think of today. A demon can be identified out in the field by having its handprints revealed by ultraviolet light, writing in an empty book, and having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius. During hunts, a demon has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a demon isn't showing evidence, the easiest way to identify it is by smudging the ghost. Demons are allowed to hunt 60 seconds after being smudged. All other ghosts require at least 90 seconds to pass before being allowed to hunt again. Demons also have the highest sanity allowance before it's allowed to hunt. If not much time has passed since entering the building and a hunt starts, it's likely a demon. This could also be a tell if a normally larger room only has crucifixes burned instead of a ghost hunting, as crucifixes get a larger radius of protection when the ghost is a demon. A Yurei is a ghost from Japanese folklore. typically the restless spirit of a person who died with strong emotions that prevent them from passing peacefully into the afterlife. The word Yurei literally means faint spirit or dim soul. In traditional belief, all humans have a spirit, or Reikon, which normally ascends to the ancestral realm after proper funeral rites. However, if someone dies violently, tragically, or without closure, their Reikon can transform into a Yurei, bound to the mortal world by the emotion that consumed them. They are often depicted in white burial kimono, with long, disheveled black hair, pale or bluish skin, and no legs, floating eerily above the ground. A Yurei can be identified out in the field by having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision, having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a dots projector. During hunts, a Yurei has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a Yurei isn't showing any evidence, the easiest way to identify it is through the doors around the building. A Yurei is the only ghost that is capable of fully closing or opening doors outside of a ghost event or hunt. This only works if the door is closed gently, as all ghost types are capable of slamming doors. It is also capable of doing this with the entrance door. The other way to identify it is when a Yurei is smudged, it returns to its ghost room. After smudging, a person can have a motion sensor at the door and see if the ghost trips it. The ghost will be locked in the room for 90 seconds after returning. An Oni is a demonic ogre or spirit from Japanese folklore, known for its ferocity, supernatural strength, and malevolent nature. But it isn't a ghost in a traditional sense. While ghosts like the Yurei are the spirits of dead humans, Oni are more like demons or monsters, often born from intense evil, sin, or corruption rather than simple death. In myth, Oni are said to be humans who were so wicked in life that their souls transformed after death into monstrous spirits, or they can be native creatures of the underworld, named Jigoku, serving as tormentors of the damned. Onis represent the manifestation of wrath, greed, or cruelty, and are typically described as large, muscular humanoids with red, blue, or green skin, bearing horns, tusks, and wild hair, while carrying heavy iron clubs called kanabo. They also often wear tiger skin loincloths. An Oni can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a dots projector. During hunts, an Oni has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If an Oni isn't showing evidence, the easiest way to identify it is during a hunt. Oni blinks far more during hunts than any other ghost type, making it incredibly visible. Oni are also incapable of doing the ghost mist event, allowing you to eliminate them when trying to identify the ghost. A yokai is a supernatural creature, spirit, or phenomenon from Japanese folklore encompassing everything from mischievous monsters to divine nature spirits. The term combines the characters yo, meaning bewitching or mysterious, and kai, meaning strange or apparition. Yokai are not necessarily good or evil. They're capable of behaving kindly, maliciously, or unpredictably depending on how they're treated. They can arise from nature, human emotions, objects, animals, or even ideas. Anything with enough history, feeling, or spiritual presence can become a yokai. A yokai can be identified out in the field by speaking to a spirit box user, having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a dots projector. During hunts, a yokai has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a yokai isn't showing evidence, the easiest way to identify it is during a hunt. Yokai have a smaller hearing and detection distance compared to regular ghosts. During a hunt, speak, or use the global chat, while at a distance where a normal ghost could hear you, but a yokai cannot. If the ghost detects you, it is not a yokai. Outside of this, talking in general around a yokai makes the ghost more active, along with increasing its chance to hunt. A Hantu is a ghost or spirit from Malay and Indonesian folklore, deeply rooted in the traditional spiritual beliefs of Southeast Asia. The word Hantu in Malay and Indonesia simply means ghost or spirit, but it covers a wide range of supernatural beings, from restless human souls to nature spirits and demonic entities. Unlike the Western concept of ghosts as just the soul of a dead person, Hantu can refer to any invisible being. Some are malevolent, others neutral or even protective. They inhabit forests, rivers, graveyards, or abandoned places, and are often tied to specific natural or emotional energies. A Hantu can be identified out in the field by having its handprints revealed by ultraviolet light, having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision, and having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius. During hunts, a Hantu has a unique speed mechanic. The Hantu's base speed is 1.4 meters per second, and it changes depending on the temperature of the room it's in. The colder the room, the faster the Hantu becomes. If a Hantu stays in a room, the room will get colder, making looping harder. The fastest speed the Hantu can reach is 2.7 meters per second. This is also a great way to tell if the ghost is a Hantu if it isn't showing any evidence. The other method is looking for cold breath to come from the ghost's mouth. Only Hantus have cold breath. A Goryo is a type of vengeful spirit in Japanese folklore, specifically the restless ghost of a noble or high-status person who died with deep anger, betrayal, or injustice. Unlike ordinary ghosts, Goryo are powerful and wrathful spirits whose fury can cause plagues, disasters, or death until they are appeased. The word Goryo literally means honorable spirit, Go being an honorific, and Ryo meaning soul or spirit, reflecting the idea that even in death, these beings retain their dignity. The concept of Goryo emerged during the Heian period, a time when natural disasters, epidemics, or political turmoil were often blamed on wrong souls of the aristocracy. When powerful figures were unjustly exiled, executed, or slandered, their spirits were believed to return as Goryo, haunting those responsible and the capital itself. A Goryo can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, having its handprint revealed by ultraviolet light, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a DOTS projector. During hunts, a Goryo has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a Goryo isn't showing evidence, the only way to identify it is through the ghost room. Goryo are less likely to roam from the ghost room and won't change the room. If the Goryo is showing evidence, then the easiest way to identify it is by using the DOTS gear. Goryo is only visible on DOTS through a video camera outside of the ghost room. A Myling is a restless child's ghost from Scandinavian folklore, especially from Sweden and Norway. It is said to be the spirit of an unbaptized or murdered infant, often one abandoned or killed by its mother to hide shame or poverty. Because of its tragic and violent death, the Myling cannot rest, becoming one of the most sorrowful and haunting figures in Nordic ghost lore. Mylings are usually described as small, pale children, sometimes bloodied or dirt-covered, having piercing cries or wails that echo through the dark, sometimes appearing as invisible presences, only heard but not seen. A Myling can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, having its handprints revealed by ultraviolet light, and writing in an empty book. During hunts, a Myling has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a Myling isn't showing evidence, the easiest way to identify it is during a hunt. The noises a Myling makes are cut off after 12 meters. Triggering a hunt while far away and listening for noises makes determining the Myling easy. Do note that this only works on the same floor as the ghost, as noises are muffled between floors. An Onryo is a vengeful spirit from Japanese folklore, one of the most feared and iconic type of ghosts in Japan. The word literally means grudge spirit, On meaning resentment or hatred, and Ryo meaning soul or ghost. An Onryo is the restless soul of a person, often a woman, who died with deep anger, betrayal, or sorrow, and has returned to the world of the living to seek revenge or release their torment. They don't just haunt individuals, in traditional stories. Their fury can inflict entire families, villages, or even nations. Some can only be appeased through rituals, prayers, or acknowledgement of their suffering. Others are unstoppable, their hatred eternal. An Onryo can be identified out in the field by speaking to a spirit box user, having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision, and having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius. During hunts, an Onryo has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If an Onryo isn't showing evidence, the easiest way to identify it is by using firelights. If you place a crucifix down, and then light a firelight on top of it, an Onryo has to blow out the firelight before it's allowed to hunt. The third time an Onryo blows out a firelight, it will automatically start a hunt. An Onryo is also unable to light a fire source. The twins ghost is a concept that comes mostly from modern paranormal games and ghost hunting folklore, but it draws on older ideas about dual spirits and split souls. In essence, a twins ghost refers to two supernatural entities that act as one, either literally two spirits bound together, or one ghost capable of manifesting in two places at once. While the twins, as a named ghost type, is recent, the idea of twin spirits appears across cultures. In Norse and Celtic myth, twins were believed to share a spiritual bond so strong the death of one could cause the other's spirit to echo it, a kind of phantom resonance. Some African and Caribbean traditions speak of dual souls, one that remains in the body and one that wanders. In occult belief, a split ghost may form when a person with an unstable soul dies violently, producing two partial entities that act independently but share memory and motive. The twins can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, speaking to a spirit box user, and having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius. During hunts, the twins have two different speeds depending on which twin it is. One is faster at 1.9 meters per second, while the other is slower at 1.5 meters per second, and only one twin will hunt at a time. This is the easiest way of identifying the twins, if neither are showing any evidence. The other way of identifying them is if there are two interactions at the same time. Do note that one twin could be farther from the other one, causing events to happen away from the ghost room. A Raiju is a supernatural creature from Japanese mythology associated with lightning, thunder, and storms. It is said to be the companion or manifestation of Raijin, the Shinto god of thunder. The Raiju is a creature of pure storm energy, sometimes appearing as an animal infused with lightning, and sometimes as a living mass of crackling electricity that strikes from the sky when thunder roars. Raiju can take many forms. They are shapeshifters of the storm. Common depictions include a wolf, fox, weasel, tanuki, cat, or dog made of lightning, sometimes a ball of blue-white lightning or a creature wrapped in electrical arcs. In storms, they may leap from cloud to cloud, riding bolts of lightning like wild beasts. A Raiju can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a DOTS projector. During hunts, a Raiju will start off at the standard 1.7 meters per second. Upon entering close proximity to an active piece of electronic gear, the Raiju will speed up to 2.5 meters per second, and stay at that speed until leaving close proximity with the active electronic gear. Close proximity is considered 6 meters on small maps, 8 meters on medium maps, and 10 meters on large maps. This is also the easiest way to identify a Raiju if it's showing no evidence. Before a hunt, place down an electronic piece of gear and see if the ghost speeds up and slows down around the gear. An Obake is a shape-shifting spirit or ghost from Japanese folklore, closely related to the broader category of yokai. The word Obake literally means a thing that changes, from Bakaru, meaning to transform or take another form. Unlike typical ghosts, which are the souls of the dead, Obake are creatures, objects, or even spirits that can alter their appearance, sometimes to scare humans, sometimes to play tricks, and sometimes, simply, to exist in forms beyond human understanding. An Obake can be identified out in the field by an EMF reader reaching level 5, having its handprints revealed by ultraviolet light, and having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision. During hunts, an Obake has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If an Obake isn't showing evidence, the easiest way to identify it is during a hunt. An Obake will change ghost models mid-hunt and then change back. The Obake also has a unique handprint for ultraviolet evidence. A mimic ghost is a type of supernatural entity or haunting known for its ability to imitate sounds, voices, appearances, or even identities to deceive the living. Unlike ordinary ghosts that simply appear or haunt a location, mimics are deceptive shapeshifters, spirits that pretend to be something or someone else to manipulate, confuse, or lure humans. While a mimic ghost is more common in modern paranormal investigations and horror games, the underlying concept has deep roots in folklore and occult traditions across the world. In European folklore, evil spirits or demons could imitate the voices of the dead to lure its victims. In Native American lore, the Wendigo and other forest spirits were said to call out in familiar voices to draw travelers astray. In Japanese tales, Obake and yokai sometimes mimic human forms or voices to frighten or trick people. In Christian demonology, mimicry is seen as a hallmark of demonic deception. Since only holy beings can create life, demons can only imitate it. A mimic can be identified out in the field by speaking to a spirit box user, having its handprints revealed by ultraviolet light, and having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius. During hunts, a mimic has a base speed of 1.7 meters per second, but will speed up to 2.8 if it holds line of sight with a person. If a mimic isn't showing evidence, the easiest way to identify it is by checking for ghost orbs. Mimics are unique in that they will always have ghost orbs visible in the ghost room. Mimics will also change which ghost type they mimic every 30 to 100 seconds. You can use this to spot a mimic if they act differently from one hunt to the next. A Moroi is a vampiric spirit or undead ghost from Romanian folklore, often seen as the restless soul of the dead that rises from the grave to drain the life or energy of the living. In Romanian belief, Moroi come from souls unable to find peace, often because of dying unnaturally, like murder, curse, or suicide, being unbaptized or buried improperly, and committing grave sins or witchcraft in life. These souls then become revenants, returning to torment the living or feed on their blood, warmth, or spiritual essence. A Moroi can be identified out in the field by speaking to a spirit box user, writing in an empty book, and having a thermometer read a temperature below 1 degree Celsius. During hunts, a Moroi's speed is dependent on the average sanity of everyone. At 0% sanity, a Moroi's base speed is 2.25 meters per second, and reaches a top speed of 3.71 meters per second when holding line of sight with a person. This is also the easiest way to identify a Moroi if it isn't showing any evidence. Monitor how fast the ghost is between each hunt, and if you're unsure, use sanity medication to see if the ghost slows down from the last time it hunted. The other way to tell is by smudging the Moroi during a hunt. Moroi take more than 5 seconds to start chasing someone again, if they have detected them. A Deogen is a modern supernatural entity concept, but it draws upon inspiration from ancient spiritual and mythological ideas about omnipresent, all-seeing spirits. The Deogen is described as a spirit that sees through all deception. It knows exactly where its victim is at all times. It is drawn to human life energy, tracking it with an almost divine awareness. Though it may appear slow-moving, it cannot be evaded, as it never loses sight of its target. A Deogen can be identified out in the field by speaking to a spirit box user, writing in an empty book, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a dots projector. During hunts, a Deogen always knows where a person is. It will approach them at 3 meters per second until getting close to the target. When close, they will slow down to 0.4 meters per second. This is also the easiest way to identify a Deogen, if it isn't showing any evidence. A Deogen is only allowed to hunt once the average sanity has reached 40%. A Thaye is a restless ancient spirit from Southeast Asian folklore, representing the undead remnants of powerful beings who once held strong emotions or unfinished attachments in life. In both traditional belief and modern paranormal lore, a Thaye is a corporeal ghost, a spirit so bound to the physical world that it appears as a decaying, almost human figure, lingering long after death. Thaye are usually described as tall, emaciated, or mummified beings with leathery grayish skin, eyes that burn faintly red or white, and are often draped in tattered funeral robes or royal garments if they were once powerful. They are also surrounded by a cold, sickly aura that withers life nearby. A Thaye can be identified out in the field by having ghost orbs appear when using a video camera with night vision, writing in an empty book, and appearing to the naked eye when walking through a dots projector. During a hunt, the Thaye's speed will depend on its age. As long as anyone is near the Thaye every 1 to 2 minutes, the Thaye will add 1 to its age. At 0 age, the Thaye is 2.7 meters per second, and it loses 0.175 meters per second per age. At age 10, its speed is 1 meter per second. The Thaye does not have increased speed based on line of sight. This is one of the easier ways to identify the Thaye if it isn't showing any evidence. Just take note of the speed of the ghost each hunt, and if it's slower, then it's a Thaye. Though the easiest way to identify a Thaye is using the Ouija board. Ask the ghost how old it is, then wait a little bit and ask again. It's also good to note that the Thaye will be more active the younger it is. Now you know every ghost you'll find out in the field, along with its own rules and its own way of ending you if you're not careful. But with what you've learned, you've got a fighting chance out there. Just remember, stay calm, trust your tools, and never let your guard down, because the moment you do, that's when they strike. Until next time, good luck out there. You're gonna need it.